Hello everyone, Corey Erdman here in the Fight Network studios, getting you up to date on everything in the world of boxing. And well, next weekend's Golden Boy Live main event between Antonio Tarver and Jonathan Banks is now off after Tarver suffered a thumb injury during training camp. Tarver underwent x-rays, which determined the thumb was fractured, canceling the fight indefinitely. The former undisputed light heavyweight champion says he would still like to face Banks. However, it's no secret that he'd jump at the opportunity to face de facto WBA champion Ruslan Chagayev or other de facto WBA champion Luis Ortiz if given the opportunity. He's already rated number 10 by the WBA and could be an optional defense in theory for either title holder. After a positive drug test following his dreary outing with Latif Coyote, Tarver has effectively been blacklisted by Showtime, the only network other than Fox Sports 1 on which his promoter, Golden Boy, broadcasts fights in English in the United States. And that makes things tricky for Tarver, whose hourglass is certainly running out at the age of 45. Whatever chance he can get, and believe me, with his name, he will get one, he's going to jump at it. Speaking of WBA title fights, this one of the more legitimate sort, Jesse Vargas will defend his light welterweight title against Antonio DeMarco on the undercard of the November 22nd pay-per-view clash between Manny Pacquiao and Chris Algieri. Vargas is coming off a somewhat disputed win over Anton Novikov in August, but here's the kicker. This will be one of those rare times when Vargas is taken out of his native Nevada, where beating him has been determined to be the equivalent of beating Boise State on the blue turf. DeMarco was a respected lightweight champ who has lost in steps up against Edwin Valero and Adrian Broner. More recently, he was dropped and hurt badly by Leonardo Tyner in the first round of an eventual unanimous decision win. The knock on DeMarco was that he just wasn't strong enough to fight the way he wanted to fight at 135. Those extra 5 pounds will either help him or hurt him badly. Vargas's top-ranked stablemate, Evgeny Gradovich, appears to have his next opponent lined up, and it is certainly no cakewalk. The Mexican-Russian is reportedly close to signing on to defend his IBF featherweight title against Tarver-Banks. Last year, Vetyeka went to Indonesia and knocked out Daoud Yordan, and then upset longtime champion Chris John for the WBA title via 6th-round TKO. Earlier this year, Luis Pabon sort of just took his world title and handed it to Nonito Donaire before the fight could really get going. Well, he now has a golden opportunity to become a 2-time world titleist against a fighter in Gradovich who is considered to be one of the sport's most vulnerable title holders. Gradovich, though, is also one of the most exciting title holders. His instincts will be to go after Vetyeka, whether he's a puncher or not, and the results will certainly be enjoyable to watch. And lastly, according to Kevin Iole of Yahoo Sports, Mayweather Maidana 2 is likely to settle in at around 925,000 pay-per-view buys. That would be a 25,000 buy increase from the assumed number from their first encounter, but a significant drop from the million buy baseline that Floyd has had during his reign atop the sport. But as he always seems to do inside the ring, Mayweather finds a way to win on this front from a PR perspective. However disappointing the number may be, if Showtime and Mayweather's team choose to actually acknowledge it, they can still say that it was the biggest pay-per-view event of the year. That includes UFC pay-per-views and even WrestleMania if you're not counting online subscribers. Similarly, Mayweather Maidana 1 might have been a disappointment in terms of pay-per-view buys, but it managed the 5th highest gate in the history of Nevada. This would seem to suggest that the calls for a boycott of Mayweather as a result of his treatment of women over the years did not seem to have an impact. But there isn't any doubting that the market for just seeing Mayweather against whomever has diminished. And it's a fair question to ask if there's anyone out there whom he could fight in his next and possibly last 2 outings who could help Floyd get back over the 1 million buy hump who isn't named Manny Pacquiao.